Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to, depending on wherever you live, a early morning bonus upload or a middle of the night bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into tonight's middle of the night or early morning bonus upload, shall we? All right, folks, so this is one of the attacks that I really got deep into. I still have evidence from this case. Spent a lot of time going deep into a rabbit hole on this one. And I had some strange things happen during this period of time as well. We'll get into it, and then I'll share what happened afterward. This is a very important upload to me, and I will tell you why. As many of you know, I also research strange cases of attacks. I compare them to other animal attacks. I look for keywords in news articles. I look to see what agencies are involved and really just try and figure out if it is what they're saying it is or if there's something else there. There has been, I'm probably gonna give you a rough estimate, I would say 12 maybe attacks that just don't feel like they are what the government is telling us. Now, the government, today's upload is, in my eyes, going to prove that the government is lying to us. First and foremost, they know what is going on 100%. If they don't know 100%, they at least know what's going on. They may not know the exact, not cause, but creation or whatnot. Like, they may not know where the Dogman or Bigfoot or portals or why Skinwalker Ranch is such a strange place. There are many areas throughout the world that have a resemblance to Skinwalker Ranch. It's just not the only place. There are possibilities that through military action, things being experimented on, that we opened some kind of portal, really did something we shouldn't have done. I was reading an article the other day about CERN, and one second, sorry guys. There was a kid who he a young scientist, I say kid but he's not, who came forth and said that we opened a portal, something came out. There are other things out there that are non-existent on this earth. Now, the thing that I'd like to share right now, first and foremost, is the Meeker, Colorado case. This case really shines a light on everything that I've talked about, everything that I've shared, your opinions and theories, mine, that the government knows. The government is either responsible or is covering it up until they can figure out what is up. In Meeker, Colorado, if you've been with the channel for a while now, you know that there has been a number of cattle slayings. They initially blamed it on a bacteria, and then I showed you a link to see the photos of the cattle. There's no way a bacteria would do that to an animal. Then they immediately at first blamed it on wolves. There are a total of 5 wolves in Colorado, some 300 to 400 miles away from Meeker. Now, when that news came out, they had to think of something really quick. They thought of a bacteria. That's pretty strange. I was contacted by a rancher whose name is Carl. I call him Carl. He has been living in that area for generations. His family is like 2 generations of ranchers. He has, I think he said like 7,000 to 8,000 head of cattle, which is small. He said that's small, because I was like, wow, that's a lot. And he said, yeah, that's small for up here. Growing up, my family's farm had like 50, and I thought that was a lot. Now, some 40 cattle, more than 40 actually, but were torn apart, savagely attacked, but not fed on. There were no tracks, all right? There were no identifiable markers of whatever did this assault. Carl then reaches out and says, Jeff, about 2 to 3 months prior to the attacks happening, there was a team of men who had killed something in a local preserve, which is closer to his home. His son was the one who actually saw the creature that was killed. He said to his dad as they left, because the 3 ride together. That's how Carl kind of releases stress, tension, spends time with his kids. He goes horseback riding. And the father and daughter came up. This is where the attack was. The son kind of came this way, kind of around, but was riding with the family. He saw something that these 2, the father and daughter, didn't. Looked at the dad as they were leaving and said, that was the largest wolf or husky looking animal I'd ever seen. They were threatened, but not really. Pretty much leave here. They displayed their firearms, obviously. Leave here. Go. This is not a place for you. Be gone. They didn't say, you better get out, but just beat it. They did. The cattle attacks started happening. Carl's kid, the son, is still in high school. Meeker is a very small community. there is a airport next to the school. Carl saw a helicopter, 4 baby birds, or little birds, excuse me, which are smaller than Apache helicopters. They are usually used by special forces. They're very quick. They can just very I don't know if the word nimble for a helicopter is what you would use, but nimble. They're the smaller helicopters, if you saw Black Hawk Down, that were flying around. They can be equipped very easily with weaponry, usually a 50 cal, Gatling gun. I guess my brain just shut down. Minigun. And, very easy to maneuver, not nimble. And, just light armament, very effective at taking things out. 4, a team of men. And as the cattle slayings are happening, it's noticed that these guys are here. One of his friends contacts him about a week and a half after he had contacted me and said that he was in his far fields on his ranch and heard automatic rifle fire. This guy, his other friend, is a rancher as well. Knows what gunfire sounds like. There's a difference between semi-automatic, lever action, or just bolt action. Very, very different sounds. All 3 have a very different sound. 4. And those of you who are in the know of firearms can verify that. You hear a automatic rifle, you know the difference. There are people who can shoot pretty rapidly with a semi-automatic. I'm pretty good that way. But there's just a different sound to it, a different ting. About a day later, they go out and they find this area that smells like cordite, gunpowder, just a really bad smell. Smell of copper, wet, urinated dog, just feces, just a really raunchy smell. There's no brass on the ground at all. There are bullet holes in the trees, and there was a patch of flesh with a large amount of fur attached. Fat and fur. And we had figured out a way of him sending some to me. Now, we're going to take that aside, talk about that after. This is the most important thing. After that incident happened, all attacks in Meeker stopped. There's no denying that the attacks have stopped. There's been no any more news coming out of Meeker about it because there have been no new attacks. They killed what was doing the damage. It was not a wolf. We had my friend who is a veterinarian. I asked him to get involved. We paid $500 each to get 2 samples tested. It was $500. Once per DNA panel. Got it tested. It came back crocutta crocutta, which is a spotted hyena, but with an additional gene. I don't know what it is. I'm not a expert in that field. My friend, being a veterinarian, is not an expert either. We're figuring out a way of identifying the marker of that DNA now. The fact of the matter, though, is that the attacks stopped. There had been people who had spotted dogmen in that area, running through their range or fields or whatever you want to call them. All through that area. I've pulled up, I can't do it today, and I'm sorry. I can't turn as great as I normally can, but I've pulled up the maps and shown you guys where it is. Meeker sits down here. My right shoulder is messed up, guys, so I'm sorry. Meeker sits here, all right? Where Carl lives is kind of up in here, and where his friend lives is in here. That automatic gunfire was in another reserve. There's 2 reserves, and then Meeker sits here. Vast amounts of land. No more attacks. Why? Because the government sent a team in to take out the problem. We know, first and foremost, we know that the government has teams that go and hunt these creatures. It, to some people, may sound like a fictional story, but there are teams that deal with these things. Too many people have seen them. Here's the one thing that really, if there weren't kill teams and this thing that Carl said happened or didn't happen, there still would be animal attacks, or the cattle attacks would still be going on. All right. Now, this is January 9th, a January 9th news article. Very, very important. I want you guys to listen and pick up on the keywords. If you can't, I will share the keywords for you so you guys can start examining these cases yourselves. All right? Hang on one second. Let me hit pause real quick. This is the newest news article. Local media outlets stated that 36 cattle had been found dead, spread over 1.5 miles near Meeker in Colorado. The deaths were reported across America and made headlines in the New York Post. Initially, the deaths were blamed on wolves, but Colorado Park and Wildlife, CPW, officials now state only 5 of the animals were likely killed that way. That's not true. The photos that I shared are more than 5. The first batch of cows that were found dead, the first batch of 18 cows were found dead in October with missing tails, bite marks on the hocks and flanks and hamstrings, according to the Colorado Parks and Wildlife officials. However, staff at the park were left scratching their heads as they found no tracks or evidence of animals in the area. Subsequent efforts using trail cams and aerial flights to identify the killers failed. Keywords right there, guys. The keywords are, they literally just kind of messed up and said initially the deaths were blamed. Now state officials say 5 animals died that way, but yet the next paragraph says 18 cows were initially found with missing tails and bite marks on their hocks and flanks and hamstrings. These were not bite marks. These pictures were so graphic that I couldn't put them on YouTube because the video would get taken down. So right there is in my brain, since this accident, my brain has keep shutting down. Right there is evidence of a lie. 5, 18. Okay, so really dumb there. Investigators then turned to testing the cattle for deadly Clostridium bacteria, or black leg, but postmortem revealed a lack of lesions and inconclusive tests. Travis Black, CPW, Northwest Regional Manager, told the newspaper, "We're scratching our heads a little bit. We don't know exactly what occurred up here. It's frustrating trying to figure out exactly what occurred in this incident." There wasn't one incident, it was a multiple incidents. While Black also said that while they do not believe wolves were behind the deaths, he also cannot rule them out completely. He said, "We have no evidence of wolves in the area. That doesn't mean they are not here." There are 5. There are 5 wolves in Colorado. They are actually taking some from Wyoming. Again, these 5 were originally from Wyoming. They're taking 5 to 10 more. It was just passed in a law during this whole incident and bringing them down. So why are you really just you're sounding dumb? You're backpedaling. You're backpedaling and you're telling a lie after lie after lie. There were 4 lies, and there's 5 paragraphs that I've read. Although the ways that cattle had been found doesn't align with the typical mannerisms of wildlife predators, what we're lacking, in my opinion, is typical feeding behavior that we would see. Typical wolves would come back and feed on the carcasses. Right there. It doesn't align with the mannerisms of a wolf attack or any other wildlife attack. Mountain lion, bear, wolf, whatnot. There's been no feeding on. We all know, we have all heard, and through interviews, discussions, that these animals seldom kill for food. They will, and they probably will bring whatever they do kill to wherever and eat, discard everything, but the majority of the time they attack for sport. Jerry Klingsmith, the Meeker area rancher who suffered losses, believed that most likely scenario for the deaths was some type of canine attack which triggered the onset of the still inconclusive cause of death. Klingsmith runs around 1,000 cow-calf pairs on a 1,300-acre ranch. He said he brought a veterinary help in addition to cattle parks and wildlife and other wildlife experts to investigate the cause of death. He said one of the possibilities investigated was black leg, which was also brought up as a possible cause at last month's Colorado Wildlife Commission meeting by Travis Black, but Mr. Klingsmith said the story pathology results for samples sent to the Colorado State University Diagnostic Laboratory and Texas A&M Veterinary Medical Diagnostic Lab could not confirm the deaths were caused by black leg. Right now, we do not have a solid answer to what happened. Well, if you think Travis Black is not scratching his head, he already knows what is responsible. That's why he is backpedaling and shooting out some of the most ridiculous causes of death. Like the CPW came out in another article and flat out, and not Travis Black, the commissioner, I believe, or whatever, flat out said these were not wolf attacks. If it was a wolf attack, there would be tracks. There would be feeding. There were no tracks. There was no feeding. All right? Also, why bring up a bacteria when these cattle were shredded? These cattle were not... The pictures, like I said, were so graphic, and I will find the link and put them in this post. I'll put them in the description below. Were so graphic that I couldn't share them. A bacteria doesn't do that. But you want to keep going back to the two things that you only have instead of telling the truth. The attacks have stopped because a kill team came in and took care of the problem. Now it's time for cover up. Clean up and cover up. How do they do that? Well, they talk a lot about wolves. They talk a lot about bacteria. They have committees and meetings and this and that, and they flood, they overstimulate these poor people who live in the area to where they are just kind of brainwashed into thinking that it was either a wolf or a bacteria, when clearly it was neither. If it was wolves, the attacks would still be happening. If it was a bacteria, the bacteria would still be attacking. It just doesn't stop because you want it to, Mr. Black. I think they will ever share what is going on? Highly doubtful. But it is up to us as people who are in the know to look for those key signs of backpedals, contradictions. My brain just kicked in. The word I was looking for. Contradictions. That's all that guy just did in that whole article. He contradicted himself and told lies. That's when you know a cover-up is going on. Possibility of why there may not be any tracks? One possibility, guys, is that these Dogman creatures, or whatever it was, are using portals to go to one plane of existence to another. How do they do it? We don't know yet. I've heard different people say that they raise their hand and they open up and they go in. I don't know. I giggled at that because I have a hard time. I think, do I believe that there are portals? Yes. How do they open them? I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of location where it is. Whatever the fact of the matter is these cases are very similar to the ones that were around Skinwalker Ranch and other places in the 80s. If you think about it, when ETs were getting blamed for it, but then we realized the government was involved. We still don't have a real answer to that. But this right here is a cover-up, and the proof is in the pudding, my friends. The attack stopped once. This kill team came in and stopped it, and now it's cleanup and cover-up. That's it. Our government uses portals themselves to transport troops. There have been a couple of different, for instances, that people have seen a small group of military or Marines pop out of this kind of tunnel in the middle of a field and go back into it when they realized where they were. Almost like a training exercise. If our government is able to hone this and use this, then these creatures have been able to use it longer than our government, because they've been here longer than our government. These creatures are not created by our government. If they are a hybrid creature, I believe that they were created by something far more sophisticated and scientifically inclined than human beings are, even at this stage in humanity. If you think back to the Egyptian times, Anubis, this and that, What are Nephilim? Nephilim are a hybrid human fallen angel. These creatures may have been created by either extraterrestrial or angel or demon, whatever. Who knows? I'm sure some people will be like, they are this, they are that. But we don't know because we weren't there. We can only make assumptions until we have the proof in front of us. The proof, though, is in front of us in Meeker, Colorado. The proof is right there. The government kill team came in, cleaned up, covered up, and now it's time to go. The existence of cryptids is real. The existence of government kill teams is real. All right, guys. So strange things that occurred during this time that I was looking into this case and discussing it with a few different people. One, I was followed by a government van. My daughter and I were going for a drive, and this van was riding my tail really hard. I pulled over and forced them to pass me because there was cars behind them. And then I was able to get behind them, and they had government plates on their van. We don't have in upstate New York, where I live and where I was, there would be no reason for a government plated van to be through this town. The town that I was in is just a kind of backwoods farm town, not a lot going on. Just didn't make any sense. I've never seen a van like that in the town or in my area. It was just a weird occurrence. And when I say they were riding my ass, they were tight, like almost on my bumper. And it was just really strange. So anyway, with that, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is your support, after all, that helps this channel to continue to grow and go. And honestly, what makes this channel a place where people can share their experiences, ideas, and theories, ridicule and judgment free. And that is appreciated. Guys, stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real, they are out there, and they're definitely dangerous. Share this information with the people you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for answers, and God bless.